again, my little yarnivores and spiderettes. Fiber Spider back again with another tutorial just for you. And today I am very pleased to show you something I came up with, which I call the cabled diamond hat. And yes, it is a crocheted hat. It does look like it could be knitted, but no, it's crocheted. And I'm really quite happy with this piece. It took me quite a while to figure out how to work the pattern to my satisfaction and my liking, and I'm very happy with it, and I hope you guys like it too. By the way, this video is sponsored by Lion Brand. Thank you very much, Lion Brand, for supplying me with today's yarn, as well as for sponsoring this video. Thank you so much for your continued support, and thank you to all of my viewers for being here today. Thank you. So this project, actually, it is your, basic sort of beanie type shape, but, you've got these really awesome sauce cables with this awesome texture going on here. And actually, I did make another one here as well. Love the color. And this is actually done in Lion Brand's Heartland yarn. Forgive me, I do not recall the colorways involved, but really fun yarn to work with. And what I also really like about this particular pattern that I did is the texture starts at the very, very top of the crown, and then it works into the entire rest of the hat, and you've got some very simple ribbing for the brim. Now, for today's example, got my yarn right here. For today's example, going to be using Pound of Love in the colorway of taupe, and I'm going to be using two different sized hooks. The crown and the body of the hat, I'm going to be using a size I 5.5 millimeter hook. And then for the ribbing, you can go down a hook size or two, which I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to be using a size H 5 millimeter hook for the brim. Again, you can ultimately do whatever it is that you want to do as far as hook size, as long as it fits appropriately for your liking. With that being said, let's get started. All right, first things first with round one. And yes, I'm going to be starting with my size I crochet hook. And then much, much, much later, we're going to be working with the smaller hook. But for now, use the larger of the two. So we're going to start with a slip knot. And going to do a chaining up of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Slip stitch to that first chain to create a ring. And for our first round, we only need 9 double crochets. Typically with hats, it's usually 12, but the numerics work a little bit differently with this hat, just so that you're aware. So I'm going to start by chaining up 2, and that's going to give us the height that we need, but that chaining up of 2 does not count as our first double crochet. Just so you're aware. So we've got our chaining up of 2, and then 9 double crochets into this center ring. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. By the way, I am crocheting over my tail of yarn as I'm doing my double crochets. It makes it a little bit easier in the long run. So then after doing your 9 double crochets, which I am going to double check, double count. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Okay. Then slip stitch into the first double crochet that we did, not the chain 2, but the first double crochet, slip stitch into the top, and there you go. That is round 1. And then, of course, you can cinch up your tail, sew in your end, and you are good. All right, onwards. Okay, round 2. Again, we're going to chain up 2 to get the height. And for round 2, I'm going to start by doing a front post double crochet around that first double crochet post. There we go. So we're not going into the actual top of the stitch, but we're going around the post of the stitch with a front post double crochet. And then the next stitch, because we do need to increase, going from 9 to a total of 18 stitches. So after doing your front post, do a double crochet in between stitches, in that space in between, right in here. So we're creating new stitches like that. Then do another front post around the next stitch here. And then do a double crochet in between. And then front post. And then one in between the stitches. There we go. And then front post. And then one in between. And front post. And in between. I'll get there. And front post. And in between. Front post. In between. And front. And in between. And front. And in between. And I should have my 18 at this point. And you can see it's already creating a texture, even at this very early start that we have going on here. So this was my chaining up of 2. And then so we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18. Perfect. Okay, so then at the end of round 2, going to do a slip stitch into the top of the first front post double crochet that we did. Like so. And there you are. Alrighty. Spiffy already. Okay, onwards to round 3. All right, round 3, it's going to be a little bit different than a normal increase. Usually from here, it would be, say, doing an increase and then 2 regular stitches, increase 2 regular stitches. But for this particular hat, the increase needs to happen faster in order for the rest of the pattern to work as far as the cabling here, because we need enough space for the body of the hat in order to complete this full pattern here. So the increase needs to happen faster. That being said, instead of just increasing the front posts and then leaving the regular one alone, so ordinarily it would be increasing the front posts and then just doing a double crochet into the double, increasing the front post, and then just doing a regular double crochet. No, in this case, we're going to be increasing both the front posts and the regulars. And if you've made hats before, you'll know what I'm talking about, but it's okay if you don't, because this is a unique case. All right, that being said, chain up 2, and going to do an increase with this front post double crochet by doing 2 front post double crochets around the front post. So front post and front post around the same stitch. So it went from 1 to 2. Then into the double crochet that we did here, 2 double crochets into that stitch. You see? And then we have the front post, so 2 front posts around that post. There we are. And then 2 double crochets into the next stitch. And then 2 front posts around the next. And then into the double crochet, 2 double crochets. And then 2 front posts around the front post. And 2 doubles into the double. By the way, as far as yarn color choices, I would strongly, strongly suggest using either a solid color like I'm using here, or perhaps an ombre even, but I would not suggest using a variegated yarn because it will be sort of muddled and muddied by the texture. So again, personal preference, but I would strongly suggest using a solid. All right, so I just did my 2 front posts. Now into this double, do 2 doubles. And then 2 front posts around the front post. I mean, of course, you can use whatever it is that you wish, but I speak from experience that when you're doing textured stitches, it's generally better if you work with a solid color. It's a little less confusing to the eye, and you can really appreciate the texture more. All right, and then 2 front posts. Oops. Got 1 front post. There we go. Come on. Okay, and then 2 doubles. And then 2 front posts. And then 2 doubles. And then 2 front posts. And last but not least, 2 doubles into that last double. And then slip stitch to the top of the first front post double crochet that we did. Just slip stitch and boom. All right, now if I'm not mistaken, at this point we should now have a total of 36. We went from 9 to 18. Let's see, you got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 30, 32, 34, 36. Yep, my math has not failed me. And we still have this really awesome sauce texture going on here. And it's going to continue on until we start doing these sort of woven cables to create those diamonds. But we've got a bit more to go until we get to that point. So that being said, let's continue on to round 4. All right, so for round 4, we are going to continue our increasing. It's going to be increasing the front posts as well as the regulars again, but just the first of the front posts and the first of the doubles. So we're still increasing our sort of wedges at the same rate as each other. So start by chaining up 2, and then around the first front post, do 2 front post double crochets. So 2 around that first one. So we got the increase there, and then 1 front post around the next. So we went from 2 to 3. And then we have our 2 doubles. Well, 2 double crochets into the first double. And then 1 into the next. So we've got 3 front post and 3 regular doubles. Then we have our front posts again. So 2 front posts around the first front post. That's 1 and 2 around that first front post. And then 1 front post around the second. So again, we got our 3 here. And then we have our regular doubles. So 2 doubles into the first double. And then 1 double into the next. And then we've got our front post. So 2 front posts around, excuse me, 2 front posts around the first, excuse me. There we go. So 2 around the first, and then 1 around the second. And then the doubles, so 2 doubles in the first. And then 1 in the second. 2 front posts around the first. And then 1 front post around the second, and so on and so forth for the rest of this round. 2 in the first, 1 in the second. 2 in the first, 1 in the second. So it's going from, like, I can't say this enough, because if you increase too much, this will become a warped record really fast. And I know that with some of the other hats that I've done, perhaps I wasn't clear enough on the increasing, and there were issues as far as like, yeah, it's about the size of a salad bowl. Well, that's why I'm trying to be very, very clear and concise with this bit of instruction. So we're just going from 2 to 3, 2 to 3, 2 to 3, all the way around. And then when you reach the end here, you would be doing 2 front posts around the first, 1 around the second, 2 double crochets into the first, 1 into the second, and then slip stitch into the top of the first of the front post double crochets. And that will conclude round 4. All right, so I'll meet back up with you for round 5. All right, round 5. Okay, so at this point, you should have a total of 54 stitches all the way around. All right, so now we're going to continue on again, doing our increases just as we have been. If you look at the top of the crown here, we're going to be, keep going on in the exact same fashion, where we have our ridges, these pie wedges, sort of speaking, growing out, as well as the indented ones growing out at the same rate once again. That being said, I'm going to start by chaining up 2. And again, we're going to be increasing the first of the front posts and the first of the regular doubles. So around this first front post, 2 front posts, like so, if I can get there. There we are. And then around the next 2 front posts, just front post around each. Front post and front post. Okay, then with the regular doubles, 2 doubles into the first, and then a double in each of the next 2. And then we have our 3 front posts, so 2 front posts around the first. There we go. Front post and front post. So we got 2 around the first. And then 2 front posts, 1 around each of the next 2. 1 and 2. And then we have our regular doubles. And so 2 doubles into the first double. And then 1 in each of the next 2. And then we have our front posts. 2 around the first. 1. 2. And then 1 around each of the next 2. All right. And so you would keep on keeping on in the exact same fashion, increasing your segments from 3 to 4, from 3 to 4, all the way around, just as we have been, just by increasing the first stitch, whether it's a front post or a regular double crochet. All right, so going to keep on keeping on for the rest of this round. And when you have come full circle, literally, you would be doing 2 in the first with the front posts, then front post, 2 doubles in the first, regular double, and then slip stitch around the top of that first stitch, that first front post double crochet stitch, and I will meet back up with you for round 6. Okay, see you in a bit. All right, round 6. Going to be pretty easy, I would say, all things considered. Okay, so right now, for this round, it's not a matter of increasing anymore because at this point you should have a total of 72 stitches all the way around. Now, usually, with a lot of crocheted hats, you would get to your final count of stitches, far further out than we currently are. Now, yes, this does look a little bit wavy, but again, the reason why we needed to do the increase at such a quick rate is because we needed to have the proper number of stitches early on so that we could do our patterning later. That being said, all we're going to be doing for this round is just maintaining what we've already established with our front posts and our regulars. You'll see what I mean. So we're going to start by chaining up 2. And then every time we see a front post, do a front post. And every time we see a double crochet, do a double crochet. So after chaining up of 2, 4 front post double crochets, just 1 around each. And this also sort of solidifies what we did in the last round as far as the increases. It sort of brings things into more of a sharp relief. And I do know that sometimes I can be rather verbose and wordy, but I don't want you just to follow what I'm doing. I want you to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing so that perhaps someday you too can create and design something of your own as well. It's not just doing the stitches, but knowing why the stitches are doing what they're doing. That's half the battle. And it's my goal to try to show you what to do so that you will someday have the confidence, if not now even, if you have the confidence, to create something yourself and make something fabulous and think outside of the box and do your own thing too. It's important as a creative artist. So as you can see, we're just following suit with what we've been doing by doing front posts around the front posts and double crochets into where we have double crochets. And that's really all this round is. It's just sort of justifying the increases that we've been leading up to this point. And that's really all there is to it. Every time you see a front post, do a front post. When you see a regular double crochet, just do a regular double crochet. And so that is what you need to do for the rest of this round. And then, well, then comes, the weirder aspects of this particular hat, as far as the cabling is concerned. And it is rather different than techniques that I'm usually used to. I'll be the first to admit it. It did take me a while to get used to the concept of the cabling, but it's a lot of fun once you understand how it works. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep on keeping on in this exact same fashion all the way around. And after doing, where is the beginning of our round? Here it is. See, it blends in pretty well right here. So yeah, after doing your 4 front posts and your 4 regular ones, do a slip stitch into that first treble crochet, into the top of that first treble crochet right through there. And I will meet back up with you. And there you go. See you in a bit. Alrighty, so we have finished the crown of our hat, and that will conclude the first part of this tutorial for the cabled diamond hat. In the next part, we're going to go into the actual construction of the body of the hat, as well as the end brimming. And the reason why I'm breaking this into 2 parts is because I really want to be thorough with the explanations of the cabling so that you guys are sure to get it. Now, that being said, I really hope that you're enjoying this so far. And if you are, please give a little thumbs up button down below. You know I appreciate your appreciation. And a big old thank you to Lion Brand for sponsoring this video. And again, thank you to all of you for watching. And until next time, I want all of you to stay inspired, stay caffeinated, stay stitching, and please stay safe. Take care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.